So where are we going now? Oh, now speaking of, I'm gonna say most influential in the, with the freak offs. Let's talk about the Diddler because apparently, y'all know this new documentary that's coming out from. I think it's on. Is it on Peacock? Yeah. The new documentary they have coming out on Peacock is supposed to be diving deep into the whole Diddy situation because there's a bunch of them coming out. I actually posted yesterday. There was another trailer that was released from the people that did. I think it's on the ID channel. So the people that worked behind the scenes and did the Nickelodeon one, almost forgot. The Nickelodeon documentary, they produced this one. I think they also produced the one about Nick Carter. So they did this documentary, and they did another documentary, and they got D Woods that's going to be interviewed up in there, formerly of Danity Kane. I'm going to definitely watch that one. And that's multiple, I think it's 3 episodes. And then they have the guy that accused Diddy of the R word to him. And he was working on that Love album, which I cackled when he decided to change his name to Love. I said, ain't shit about you in the love department. Because I'm sitting there like this overall vitriol and lie you trying to spread like you spread love all over the world when you did a lot of demonic shit throughout your damn career. Sir, you need to have several seats on that. But funnily enough, when it comes to this new documentary that's coming out, one of the people that was interviewed said that did he learn a lot of his freak off stuff from his nasty ass mama? And you want to know something? I'm not surprised because sometimes I'd be like, you know what? A lot of this stuff, when it comes to abuse of any kind, molestation, all this other, it's a learned behavior. And I'm not surprised that he was exposed allegedly to sexual situations happening because his mama was producing freak offs before he was doing it. And so that's why I said I'm not surprised about Janice and them $2 Party City wigs that she be wearing was out here laying low and spreading it wide, was out here being a pimptress. What do you call a female version of a pimp? A pimptress. So yeah, her and them old $2 Party City wigs was out here playing with her labia minora and majora, probably during the Diddy freak offs of her own. So, according to Rolling Stone, it says that Janice would often throw wild parties at the future music mogul's childhood home, where it wasn't uncommon to walk into a room where adults were having relations, one of Combs' longtime childhood friends claims in the new documentary. Saying, quote, that's what we were privy to. This is what we were fed. This is what hip hop producer Tim Dog Patterson says in Diddy. The Making of a Bad Boy, which premieres on Peacock on Tuesday, January 14th. Was it desensitizing us? I'm sure it was. Were we aware of it? No. That was just Saturday night. Now, Patterson used that alleged childhood memory as a possible explanation on how Combs found himself at the center of a federal racketeering and trafficking investigation, where he is accused of forcing his ex, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, to participate in filmed drug-fueled encounters with male hunching workers that Combs allegedly dubbed freak-offs. The 55-year-old is also facing nearly 40 civil lawsuits from men and women alleging that he had preyed upon them between 1990 and 2024. Pleading not guilty to the 3 criminal charges against him, Combs' legal team has categorically denied the claims made against in civil lawsuits, saying, quote, Mr. Combs has never S-A'd or S-trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor, they said in the previous statement. Just like y'all also said that he ain't put paws on Cassie, but we all saw that video. Now, I've always been, and another quote, this is from Patterson. I've always been asked the question why. I don't know the answer to why, but I truly believe it all goes back to childhood. Now, Refs for Sean and Janice Combs did not immediately respond for requests for comment. The new Peacock documentary dives into Combs' childhood and early adolescence, speaking with Mount Vernon childhood friends, early Uptown Records colleagues, and Howard University classmate turned hitman music producer Don Amon-Ra Lawrence. Now, Combs grew up in Mount Vernon, a suburb in the fringes of Upper Manhattan. Janice had moved her young family there after Combs' father, Melvin, was unalived in 1972. A known associate of Harlem drug kingpins, including Nicky Barnes, Willie Abraham, and Frank Lucas, Melvin was pow-powed twice in the head, slumped over in a car. Now, Janice kept the details of Melvin's grisly murder from her young son, intended on providing him an idyllic childhood. Now, Combs was always dressed to the nines, and as a result was looked at as a rich kid, Patterson says in the documentary. He played Little League Baseball, served as an altar boy, and made the football team at his all-boys private. Oh, he was Catholic? Let me find out. Well, the minute they said altar boy, I kind of pretty much knew that he was raised Catholic. But Combs' peers could smell he was not tough, Patterson said, claiming that Combs was badly bullied as a kid. Now, meanwhile, at home, there was always things going on, Patterson said, adding that Janice would frequently throw parties at the house. On the weekend, Combs partied in the house, and we did that a lot, he said. He was around all types of alcohol. He was around reefer smoke, drug addicts around, lesbians around, homosexuals. He was around pimps, pushers. That was just who was in the house. People that attended the parties were from Harlem, from the streets. It would be a thing to mistakenly walk into one bedroom and you got a couple in there butt naked. Now, DJ Easy Lee Davis, I'm like, child, I don't clutch my pearls for all this, but it was like, yeah, she was up in here introducing her child to all this mess. Now, DJ Easy Lee Davis, also a Mount Vernon native who was close to Combs and spun for Mary J. Blige in her early years, noted that while he never attended Janice parties, he heard rumors about what occurred at the parties where everyone was welcome. Saying, quote, Janice had little cool chicks that would come around and she made sure everybody was comfortable. This is what he said, laughing. Now, Combs previously mentioned having an early introduction into sex, frequently watching softcore Corn, and losing his virginity at age 12, replicating the rough moves he had been watching in adult videos, saying that I was acting like porn stars act. I was smacking that ass. I was smacking the girl's ass. He told Vibe in 1999, I didn't do it on my own. She wanted me to smack that ass. I flipped her over because I saw it in a movie and she told me, do it again. Now, the 90-minute long documentary also includes interviews with singer Albie Shore, whose real name is Albert. Okay, we don't need to go into his real dad name. We know his name is Albert, who opens up about for the first time, about his acrimonious decade-old relationship with Combs after the music executive aggressively pursued model Kim Porter. At the time, Porter was dating Brown and recently gave birth to their son Quincy. Also speaking out for the first time is Dub A star Sarah Rivers, who details an unsettling experience with Combs while filming the MTV reality show Making the Band in the early 2000s, saying, I haven't said anything in so long. And so I'm going to be overwhelmed with all this Diddy stuff. I'm watching that one, and I'm definitely watching the other one with D Woods, because I feel like you want to get everybody from everybody. I'm surprised you haven't got, none of them got Aubrey. Maybe she's saving herself to do the 50 Cent one, but I'm surprised they didn't got Aubrey up in here talking. But then again, at this point, what else can Aubrey reveal when she's been out here speaking out against Diddy, excuse me, long before his ass was locked up? Like, she's been out here spilling Diddy tea. So at this point, is there anything that she can reveal to us that we haven't heard? So maybe it's better that we hear from other people that we've been wanting to hear from versus the person we've always been hearing from. And then we can always just go back to the source and say, see, Aubrey was right. She tried to tell y'all ain't want to listen. Y'all was thinking it was a white girl trying to take a black man down. No, he took himself down. At some point, people need to be responsible for the things that they do and stop with this whole trying to take a black man down narrative. It's tired, it's late, and it's lazy when y'all try to come up with that. It's like people need to take accountability for the stuff that they do. Now, regardless of the situation with Janice, I'm not surprised, because I always say, like, I've always found that their relationship was weird. I keep seeing this clip of them where it's like she's getting an IV drip, which made me think like, that was a night of partying that you and your son was doing at the mansion, the legendary freak offs, because remember, in the stuff, they was talking about how they would get the IV drips because they were spending days partying, and that IV drip keeps you from being dehydrated. So it's like you're relinquishing them fluids back in your body. And she said, I love you. And she looking longingly in her son's face like she want to just put her coochie up in his mouth. The longing look that they would give each other. Yeah, I used to be like, why this is giving me creep vibes? Like she was doing some shit with him, and they was doing some things up in that house when he was growing up, which may have played into his behavior. Because if you were walking around in a house and your mother's throwing freak offs in Harlem, and you've been exposed to all this stuff, where the people up in there doing drugs, hunching, and you were exposed to that, yeah, you won't think that's some type of normalcy. And if you don't have a mother up in there trying to keep you away from those things. Like, yeah, I'm about to be doing my freaky stuff. You need to go somewhere else while I handle my business. And she probably was making money doing it, because it's like, yeah, when your father was a drug dealer and you never really got to see him and those other stuff, and your mother was providing for you, clearly she was caught up in some things. Whereas like you got to the point where you became ambitious and nobody's hating you on the fact of how you became the big mogul you are today. But the way you went about it and the things you was doing with people, yeah, you need to suffer the consequences. And I'm not surprised that it's like, yeah, a lot of times when it comes to any kind of form of abuse, physical, sexual, or when you witness things, when you've been exposed to adult performances as a child, you tend to think there's some sort of normalcy there. We hear people who have those type of, you know, porn addictions or whatever the case is, on what transpires from that. I mean, there was a whole conversation, and not saying that. Um, well, maybe I could use this as an example. Like when Justin Baldoni was talking about that, where he was thinking like, you know, a lot of times when people watch adult stuff, adult cinematography. Shout out to Nico Aesthetics, because that's his term, and I'm gonna use it because it's cleaning it up. Um, when you watch adult cinematography and all this other stuff, you tend to think that that is normal, because you think what you seeing in a lot of those videos, that's how women should be treated. But it's like, you have to realize this is a fantasy. This is acting. This is not how people have sex in real life. So when y'all sit up there, you know, unless that's something you're into in the bedroom, then that's different. But for the most part, where a lot of times men are we're visual creatures, and we tend to gain a lot of that. We think that what we see in those movies is how we need to be having sex in real life, especially if you get the opportunity to have sex with a like these days. Now the lines are blurred. Like the porn stars are now content creators and all this other stuff. When you sitting up in there doing stuff with them, I don't think they want you doing them like Fat Rabbit Killer. So it's like, relax. Like you don't need to be emulating all of that stuff in the movies, or Yardie style. Y'all don't need to be up in there trying to, you know, ruin somebody's booty hole. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy getting his booty hole ruined behind bars. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? I mean, with the allegations for this documentary that's coming out saying that Diddy may have, you know, a lot of this behavior that he learned from the freak offs and things of that nature, he learned it from his Janice. I'm not surprised, because I'm like, yeah, a lot of times when it comes down to these things, people learn these behaviors from the way they were raised or what they're exposed by. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.